What's up, guys? We're the Farooqi Brothers. We're back with another Built Different stream. Today, we're going to be focusing on The Flash and all the new updates from the movie, but also a debate about studio toxicity and fan engagement. And is the behind-the-scenes issues at Warner Bros. Impacting fan engagement? So it's going to be a pretty good debate. I'm very excited to have it with my brothers. So before we jump into that, I want to talk about probably the biggest reveal, the thing that people are talking about most when it comes to the Flash movie, and that's the first look at Supergirl's costume for the Flash, right? So this is kind of going to be our intro topic. Let's talk about what this costume looks like, what we thought about number one, the S shield, and all of that stuff. And before we get into the other debate that we have in store, so let me just show you guys a mock photo from Dratini, right? Am I saying it the right way? Dratinti, right? Who has the right way to say it? Someone correct me in the comments. The Trinity, yeah. So he's obviously the GOAT, but and he does some great mock-ups of various superheroes. But he did one of Sasha Calle as Supergirl based on the logo reveal and some of her Instagram photos. So this is a quick mock-up of what she might look like, but I want to get a thought from you guys. Like, when you saw, number one, this costume and this symbol, did it get you more or less excited, especially when it comes to the Supergirl character? So, Zian, I'll start with you there. What did you think about this specific costume design? Yeah, on the first day, obviously showed the official logo of Supergirl, and a lot of people were comparing it to Henry Cavill's because they have the the Kryptonian writing in the middle as well, which was like one of the unique things about Henry Cavill's Superman logo on his costume. So the fact that they brought that through to Supergirl was a really nice touch as well. And though it is similar to like the general look of the Snyder Superman logo, there are some differences, as a lot of people pointed out on streams online and on Twitter. But overall, they're looking. It seems like they're paying almost like a respect to what was there, but they're obviously going their own way. And I don't think that this means she's from the same Krypton or it's connected in any way. I feel like it's just similar because it was just such an amazing design that might as well take some inspiration from that. And then we have the set leak photos that people have taken of the full costume of Supergirl. And for the most part, I think it looks good. It's different. Obviously, it's based on there were some comics where Supergirl wears a similar costume, but I think that overall it's good. My only knock on it is I think the streamlined blue boots. I think it feels like it's too one thing. I don't know how to describe it, but if it was red boots, I feel like that would look like a little cooler. But overall, I don't have any complaints with the look. People are saying like she has shorter hair. Also, I think it looks fine and everything looks right for the character. And overall, no complaints. But I feel like if they had red boots, that would be pretty cool. Umar, I think the first thing you mentioned when Sasha showed up on set was actually the boots, and you said that they're going with this blue boot design. It's more sleeker, but DCEU, we've been kind of spoiled by Wilkinson's costume designs throughout the Snyder trilogy, but also there's some great costumes that he hasn't done, like Aquaman's costume in 2018 for his solo as well. So when it comes to this one, of course, it is worth saying that a stunt costume, this is considered a stunt costume where she's actively performing a stunt. So it's a different costume than when you're in a talking scene. So, but this is kind of like a look of her on set. I mean, Umar, when you get a sense of this, I mean, are you digging the look so far?
Yeah, I am actually. I think I started off with a hesitation because anytime like set photos come out, we tend to see the worst of the suit because we're still used to seeing the final product. So when we see Henry Cavill's suit or when we see Bruce Wayne or even Wonder Woman or any of them, and you see their suits, we usually get to see the finished product when the CGI is already done and they've already, everything is kind of color graded and everything. But as far as the suit, the way it looks, I think if they just enhance it more and that's what's gonna ultimately tell us what it looks like at the end. So the Trinity, we got to get the name right, but yeah, his mock-up is nice. If that's the vibe they're going for, it's cool. And then we're so used to seeing Supergirl with long hair, at least I am, that I was taken aback a little bit with the shorter hair, but at the same time, I think it'll grow on me. Same with the red, like the top being all red. I wasn't like a fan of that, but then it's like growing on me slowly. I just think like the performance, there's so much things that like go into like getting the character right, that I think we just have to wait and see um what it what the final product looks like.
Right, and I want to kind of get into this the images of the two crests, the House of El crest with Samir, and you're again the resident creative guy from the brothers. So we know what the regular S looks like, the Henry Cavill Superman S, and now you're seeing Sasha's S. It's a little different. But Samir, do you like this design? Obviously, there's a few modifications that they made, but overall, what do you feel about this version of the symbol?
I mean, when the symbol was first revealed, I thought it was the best one out of the three that they revealed, out of Michael Keaton Batman and the Flash logo. I think this is a little bit different from Henry Cavill's in the way that Henry Cavill's logo on the suit was sort of like a patch that was it was kind of sticking out more. This is like threaded into the suit, and I know a lot of people were skeptical about that little curved line at the bottom of the S. I think it actually looks not that bad. I think it looks good actually, that attached S. From the set photos though, with the blue boots, I think the suit as a whole looks kind of plain. Maybe with the cape it would look nicer, but overall, I mean, we'd have to see with the cape and everything, final product, what it would look like. But I think it looks good.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably agree with you on all these aspects. I mean, first impressions, I felt like, and the first question was the symbol. I was like, okay, what are we getting out of this? And the first thing we're getting out of it is like, yeah, you're using the House of El symbol from Man of Steel, and you're using, well, this is closer to BVS in terms of the Joseph Campbell quote. Actually, we don't 100% know if it's the exact same quote. I was trying to look at both symbols, and it seems like it could be, but we don't know if they built an entire Kryptonian language when they were creating Man of Steel, so they could really put anything in there, and then maybe we'll find out later down the road of what Andy Muschietti ended up deciding to do with Sasha's version of Supergirl. But let's just say if they're going with the Joseph Campbellian route of we're with all the world, and that written in Superman's chest. So what does that mean for the DCEU? I mean, are we thinking that this version of Supergirl, is she going to be part of Henry Cavill's line of universe, or is she from a complete different multiverse aspect? I just thought that the fact that was her symbol was interesting to me, but I'm like, okay, like, are they trying to connect it? What's Andy thinking about? We know the overall vision for the producers is to move as far away from Man of Steel, BVS, and Justice League. So you want to move away from that. But is that what Andy wants? And we know that directors sometimes don't share the exact same mind frame that a producer would share. We saw that when Patty Jenkins was asked about which Justice League she thought about as the canon one. And this was before, I think, Zack Snyder Justice League came out. She said, all the directors, we disregard the Joss Whedon version as even a thing, and that included James Wan, that included David Sandberg. So there is like a bit of a fraternity among DC directors where they're kind of like, I don't know, we don't really follow this stuff, but then we know from direct quotes from Zack, and then even from and Sarnoff, the CEO of Warner Brothers, that they have no interest in combining any universe at all. So all that being said, that leaves fans with a sour taste in their mouth, or at least a bittersweet taste. And we're going to get into that when we get into the fan engagement section, where it's like, well, how do you come to terms with, well, is this part of the universe that I liked, or is this a brand new thing? So that's something to think about. But overall, when it comes to the design, when it comes to the overall look, I like it. And actually, we had a little debate about with the brothers when it comes to like the hairstyle. And I personally do feel like it actually works on her. Like it works on her face style, so her facial structure. I think that kind of hairstyle works. Reminds me a little bit of like Rey, or maybe Padme from Attack of the Clones, something like that, But these are some of the thoughts that came in my mind when I saw it. But overall, I think the costume is nice, and I'm happy for Sasha Calle, because I mean, Superman actors across the board have usually been newcomers, people with not that much experience. Henry Cavill was an absolute newcomer. Brandon Routh was a newcomer. Chris Reeve was probably the most well-known at the time, but even him relatively was not considered an A-list actor when he jumped in. So Sasha, just like the Supermen before her, were not like these A-list actors. So I'm excited to see what she does with the opportunity. And I think, Umar, you actually mentioned to me offhand that you think that there's actually a lot of potential for her in particular. You thought that she could maybe put up a performance rivaling that of Cavill. Do you still think that?
Yeah, I think that, like, the thing is, we have to see. I know that it's like very early to say something like that. I just think that with Supergirl, with the potential of like people wanting a more hopeful or whatever Superman, or in this case Supergirl, there's just more potential to do that and like get it right. And I think that with like the direction that they're taking, and this one being her first kind of movie in this space, I think she has a chance to really put up a performance. But at the same time, like I said in one of my tweets, they're juggling a lot of things. Like, so Keaton's return, probably Ben Affleck's exit, his Batman's exit, and then the Flash, his stories in there. And so I feel like she might actually not get like a fair shake the first go around. And the worry for me is going to be that you wouldn't want another like Jared Leto type situation where she gives a performance and like half of it is not even in the movie. And even if it is, it's going to be so small that you're not going to get enough. Like, I'm curious to see how involved she is, right? Like, how much are they going to use her, and what's the importance of her character? Because anything that has that S cannot just be like a side thing. Like, it has to be one of the main pieces, or it's gonna come off not in the best way. So those things all kind of matter, but I do think that she has a good chance to put up a performance either similar to Henry Cavill or even something better.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point, because they are really loading a lot into this film, a lot of brand new elements they're introducing to the universe. So it's like, will they be able to juggle it and handle all of these things in a fair way where everybody gets a good like amount of screen time to make it worth like the appearance? So like, you don't want to waste a Supergirl with such a big introduction to the universe. You don't want to waste a Michael Keaton Batman when this will be the new Batman going forward. You want to, but then again, it's also the Flash's film. He has to have, a lot of screen time. The focus has to be on the Flash. So it's like, will Andy and like the team, his crew, it's all the people writing the film, will they be able to handle all these characters in the right way? Whereas you're not left wondering that, oh, if only we got more screen time for this and more screen time for that. Well, obviously there will be, but it's more like coming out of it thinking that, okay, everybody was given their fair amount of time to like be introduced and build up excitement for these characters going forward as well, but not undercutting the Flash and it being his movie, because it has to be the focus on him. The story has to be surrounding him. So you don't want them to take the spotlight away from him either. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle all these characters at once.
Well, actually, I think that we'll know pretty early. Like, as soon as the runtime comes out, you'll have a good idea of what. Like, if it's not at least 2 hours and like 15 to 30 minutes, they're going to struggle to execute all that stuff. Like, it's going to be hard to tell all these different stories and weave them together, unless you're going to make them all just side characters, which doesn't. Again, and so you have Ben Affleck, which you could, in theory, just have like a smaller. He's probably going to have the smallest role out of everyone, from what I can see or what I think is going to happen. Keaton has to have a big role because he's going to be returning. Obviously, it's the Flash movie, so the Flash has to do the biggest role, like out of everyone. And then Supergirl has to have some important role within the whole thing. So, yeah,
it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But you mentioned Mal Keaton, and I want to quickly touch on this. And once we touch these two topics, we can get into what I consider to be the juiciest kind of debate that we're going to have today. But Michael Keaton did arrive on set today, and he was so someone got a shot of him actually shooting a scene, and I want to show you like what he looks like, because we got a first look at him, and I know we got a debate about it last week about the symbol and is that blood or donut jelly? But I think that with this photo of Michael Keaton, I think there's some good signs personally. Number one, it's the same freaking hairline from Batman Beyond. I mean, that's all I bring that up. But number two, you know, I think he has that, like, you know, I'm pissed off. I'm still Bruce Wayne, you know, maybe I'm still Batman or whatever the case might be. So Zion, resident Batman fan. And I know, again, it's a little bittersweet because what essentially is happening is that this 80-year-old Michael Keaton is basically kind of taking Ben Affleck, showing him the exit door. But if you took that out for a second and just looked at it for kind of what it is, what do you think about this specific look for an older Bruce Wayne?
I think just based on the comparison of Batman Beyond, if that's what they're going for, this is the perfect look. I think they nailed it. Obviously, just the legacy aspect of it. Michael Keaton back as Batman is exciting in its own. And then now with the look, it fits in perfectly with a Batman Beyond-esque Batman where, all right, like he's at a point where, yeah, he can't physically maybe do all the stuff Batman could, but mentally he's just as sharp. He's just as smart. He can lead a team even without being on like the front lines. And I think that's the perfect role for this Batman going forward. I don't want to say Nick Fury-esque because not everything has to be compared to the MCU, but like a general behind the lines, like he can lead the team. He can lead like the future Justice League. And it really does, just the look itself, like if they are going for an older Batman like this, it pushes the door wide open for a Batman Beyond storyline or a younger Batman, Batgirl, Batwoman, somebody to take the reins of the new Bat character that will, you know, be on the team, be on the front lines with all the other superheroes, and then have Michael Keaton's Batman be like the leader in the background, still doing stuff, still leading them, still being part of it, but not physically in there. And I think just on the look, I think they got to nail down. And if that's what they're going for, like you said, he looks serious in the photo. Obviously, hopefully that'll be his demeanor in the movie as well. He won't be just some old guy like Thor in playing Fortnite or whatever. Like hopefully they don't go like a stupid route like that where, yeah, he's like out of it, but he's like mentally just gone. He should still be in it. Should still be like his regular Batman self, but just physically just not being able to do it.
Samir, I want to get your opinion on the car. So we got a little photo of Michael Keaton's car, the Batman car, and it's quite similar again to the Batman Beyond car that Bruce drove. So what do you think about this? This is your new favorite Batmobile?
Yeah, it's a pretty sick car. It's pretty lengthy, but it's pretty sick, honestly.
All right, thanks for that very nice opinion, Samir.
I think it's unreal. Now,
Go ahead.
The donut jelly thing looks a lot more realistic now. I'm not gonna lie.
I thought it was the opposite.
I don't think he's gonna put the suit on, and if they just have the suit lying around, and it's like that, whatever, man.
I think it's like the Batman Beyond thing because in Batman Beyond, the first episode, they showed him like bleeding, and he was like on his final thing, and he had to use like a gun to like he didn't have to shoot it, but he used a gun to scare like the bad guys away or whatever. And he was like bleeding and stuff, and then he retired from then on because like he picked up a gun. And that was like the one thing he swore never to do. I know Ben Affleck fans will attest to this. They'll be against this, but he wasn't supposed to do that. So maybe that's like signifying that all right, he has one final like bouting as Batman where he gets injured or he bleeds or he like has to do something where he regrets and then retires because of it. And maybe the blood is symbolizing that. I don't know. Now seeing this photo, that's what I think. And I think it's less, the jelly thing is less likely now. I'm on the opposite side of you, Samir.
So how funny would it be if Michael Keaton's Batman picks up a gun and Ben Affleck's Batman is just standing there like smiling, like proud of him? Like, good job, you're there.
That would be the worst. That would be the worst. I've never heard something worse in my entire life. There's anything worse.
I only think, Samir, that this is one of the set photos. I'm not saying set photos. This is one of the concept photos when they were first kind of pitching at DC Fandom. Remember this dropped, and it's clearly Michael Keaton in his own bat suit. So I don't know if that means they're actually gonna get the old man in a suit, or it's gonna be a stunt actor playing him. But
they could do that.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a concept of him wearing his suit. Maybe it's gonna be like an older Kingdom Come variant of it, but you can see it's like she's like more metal. So I feel like we can see something like that. But I do think we're gonna see him in the suit. Now Ben Affleck, I think we're not seeing him in the suit. So that's kind of a different thing. But yeah, so these are kind of new set photos. We got one of Sasha, we got one of Keaton, we got one of Ezra also, but I didn't
as far as Affleck, you might be onto something, but I feel like they might show him in the costume, but like the Flashpoint film or the comic, like Barry will seek out Bruce for advice, because his parents died and Barry's mom died also, so maybe they'll talk to each other and that'll be Ben Affleck's like one small appearance, and he might be in costume, who knows. but I don't think he'll be in costume in the sense that he'll be like in the action, you know. But he might appear in his costume. I don't think that's impossible.
I low-key hate this idea of them just giving him an exit, but whatever.
You know, it's funny. This whole exit stuff was actually being talked about since like 2016. Like that's a crazy thing. It's been like 6 years, and we're still like talking about this. Shows how slow these studios can go. All right, let's talk about the big topic, because I want to talk about fan divide on supporting the Flash due to studio toxicity. Because we talked, let's be honest, like on Comic Book Debate, we talk about studio interference and allegations of abuse, and we've talked about these heavy hitter topics all across the show. And the Flash has now become kind of a poster child of like, okay, what if toxicity and studio involvement and everything had a baby? That baby's name is the Flash, and it's coming 2022. So and the fans have all kind of had a different side they wanted to take, and this is a nuanced topic, so I wanted to kind of open up to you guys, and we can kind of discuss it and see where, if we come to a conclusion by the end of this. But basically, there's two kind of trains of thought when it comes to the Flash. Some people are like, I'm not seeing this movie no matter what, whether it's because I don't like how they treated Ray Fisher, or some people don't want it because they don't like Toby Emmerich or Walter Hamada, and they don't like the Snyderverse probably isn't coming back. So there's that school of thought. Then there's a school of thought that I will support the DCEU no matter what. I love these characters. I grew up as a DC fan, and I'm going to continue watching DC movies because this is the stuff that I gravitate to as a consumer, right? And that's the other. And for them, they're like, hey, if there's studio stuff happening, there's something behind the scenes, then that's fine. Those are the two main schools of thought. And then there's those middle schools that people are like, hey, I know what's happening to Ray Fisher. I get it. I support him. I will call out Walter Hamada or Ann Sarnoff or Toby Emmerich when it comes to situations of abuse or allegations of abuse or other things of that nature. But I will still kind of do the things I want to do as someone who consumes products, or whatever the case might be, or as a fan, right? And then there's people like in our side, which is more like, we know what's going on, but we're going to be reporting it as well. So all these trains of thought are happening for this movie, and I wanted to kind of get into it and see that, is there one more or less that's convincing? Is there some place that all four of us fit into more cleanly? And then how, as a fan, do you situate that, hey, this is happening behind the scenes, but this is what's happening in front of the camera? Yeah, there are producers who are pretty nasty, but then are the directors and the cast members nasty? I don't know. How do we kind of shift through these waters, right? So I think, Umar, I'm gonna hit you with this one first. Where do you kind of sit on this one? Because it is a nuanced topic. It is something that there's no like, hey, I'm doing this and that's everyone should do this. So like, or maybe there's no something that everything should do. Maybe it's an individual choice. So where do you stand on this one?
And that is actually the point I'm going to make. It's that it's a very individual choice. So on the one hand, I think with us, especially having Ray Fisher on our podcast and speaking to him even privately about, what he's gone through, it's important to like note that like what's happened and them removing him is a wrong that for me at least, like I can speak for myself, not even everyone on the panel, but for me, I believe that's a wrong. So I believe that's like a wrong that's separate from like the entertainment part of the equation, right? And so because it's wrong, and having spoken to Ray, right? We've spoken to Ray, and so like with majority of the actors and the people that work together, right? A lot of them are friends. And even with Zack Snyder, we saw that although like the theatrical cut was like, in our opinion, garbage, like, we've never had Zack Snyder come out and like say it in that way, because he knows that some of the people that worked on that movie were friends, regardless of what and who and how and why and all that stuff. He still at some point was like, okay, you know what, like whatever happened, but like we got to separate that from like, because people are still working on those things that are close friends. So, and Ray Fisher hasn't come out and said like, oh, if you support the movie, you're the worst person ever and that you're against what I am fighting for. No, you can actually support Ray Fisher if you wish, and then still look at like the movie and admit that, okay, like what they did to him was wrong, right? and at the same time, you can still, in the same breath, go and watch and consume the movie and then see how you feel about it. Those things aren't antithetical, right? Those two things can be done in the same respect. So people shouldn't conflate the two. That if you support, somehow you're against Ray Fisher, because Ray Fisher himself is not of that viewpoint, right? So you cannot use that as a basis to be like, nah, okay, you can't. So that's where I stand. So namely is that you can call a spade and be like, wait, this was wrong. But on the other hand, Ezra Miller is Ray Fisher's friend. He's still working on that one, right? He's still there. Andy Muschietti, he's still there. They're still making the movie, right? So like, it's about, and boycotting something is actually not gonna do much in the grand scheme of things. The general audience that watches these things, they actually do not know what's happening with the studio interference stuff. They don't know what's happening, even with the Ray Fisher stuff, right? Although he's like, we've tried to signal boost and we've tried to make it, like bigger, but like outside of the niche, right?
Like the general audience,
The general audience they're not really aware. So they're still going to go and watch it. Your boycott isn't actually, and what's the objective of the boycott in the first place? Like, what's the objective? What are you going to do? I know Shaz has a much bigger point about that, but that's kind of where I sit on the whole.
Yeah, I'll probably go next, and I'm going to pass it to Zian and Samir after this one. But my hot take number one, and I'll give my flash thing later, but I have a general hot take about boycotts and about like this sense of like putting ethical and moral responsibility on a fan of a movie to not see it or see it, and then police those fans to see it or not see it, right? And I feel like this is number one, partly a bad faith argument, but number two, very much a moot argument, because the world is bigger than the superhero movies that we're talking about here, and it's escapism, number one. But yes, and I'm not downplaying toxicity in studios. I'm not downplaying what happened to Ray Fisher, because his battle for accountability is not directly related to the Flash. It's very directly related to the suffering that he and others felt on the set of Justice League, and then the alleged interference that he felt took place for the investigation that happened afterwards, right? And then yes, because of the circumstances of him kind of saying that, hey, I'm not going to be working with Walter Hamada, and then Hamada is like, well, okay, then you're not in this movie, and it's unfortunate, but that's kind of the way it went. Now the battle still goes on, and that's something that you can do. You can watch something and still say, well, this is still happening, right? This is something we still want to fix, right? And this is the main point of it, okay? Every company, so many companies in the United States in particular are donating through super PACs, right, to what essentially are white supremacist organizations, what are essentially organizations that are either suppressing the vote of people of color, or they're not protecting the rights of Black Americans when it comes to police violence, or they're taking steps to ensure that immigrants are not being given a fair shake, whether it be at the border or anywhere in the States, right? Are you calling for the boycott of those companies, right? Are you going and saying, I'm not eating here, I'm not shopping here, I'm not consuming this because you are not supporting what I think is correct, right? If you are, all right, then you can keep that same energy. But most of you guys aren't, and I know that's just the damn truth, right? Most of you guys aren't, and some of the fans, again, and I hate to say it this way, are using Ray Fisher's kind of struggles and trials and tribulations as a way to underpin what your real thing is, which you just want to restore the Snyderverse, and that's why you're gonna say what you're saying, right? So, if you're not calling for the boycott of apartheid countries who are killing children, and if you're not calling for the boycott of companies who are donating tens of millions of dollars to super PACs who are aiming to just hurt people of color, then don't come to me saying that I want to boycott these cartoon characters.
Yeah,
because you're going to look stupid, right? And so I see these people get very up in arms about it. They're like, cannot support the Flash. Why? Because they're not restoring the Snyderverse, right? I'm like, okay, so you're a very weak argument, right? So, and again, it's up to you. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. I'm just saying, there's no problem with not watching a movie or watching a movie. I'm just saying there's very big issues in the world, and if you're not boycotting those issues, if you're not fighting those issues, then fighting about if Superman's wearing undies or not is not gonna do anything for me. Okay,
I think you hit one point on the head so hard, and that is, yes, a lot of these fans, it's unfortunate, but you see it all the time on Twitter. They're just using the struggles Ray went through and what he's fighting for as an excuse to boycott. But what they really want is just to restore the Snyderverse. What they're angry about is that, okay, WB, they let go of the Snyderverse, they canceled it, they're not moving forward with Zack Snyder Justice League, even though it did extremely well. And they're like, okay, let's boycott this because they're not giving us what we want. And they're using Ray Fisher's struggles, Ray Fisher's fight as a scapegoat that, okay, here's a mask we'll wear that, we're supporting Ray Fisher, but inside they really don't care. And what they care about is that Restore the Snyderverse isn't happening, so we have to boycott these other films now to teach them a lesson that they're not giving us what we want, so now we're not going to support what they're putting out. And it's unfortunate it's happening, and it's not everybody. Not all the fans are doing this. Some people sincerely care about Ray's fight and Ray Fisher and the cast and everything they went through during Justice League, and they feel that, okay, we can in good faith support these products by the people who did that, and that makes perfect sense. That's perfectly understandable. If that's how you feel, you can of course boycott it, but it obviously, you got to look at it a little closer and look at what Ray's saying. Ray never once called for a boycott. He knows his friend Ezra Miller is on it. He wants Ezra to do well, and then you want all these other people to do well. You have a person of color playing Supergirl. You want, like, I, as a person of color, want that to do well, want her to do well. I want her to do well in the role, and I want to support that facet of the movie, and I want to support Ezra Miller as well, and all the other people who are working hard on the film. Like, you want to support them, you want them to do well, but you can also recognize that, okay, a lot of injustices took place on other sets, and yes, there are studio heads who are running and in charge of the same things, but it's like, who are you hurting more? If you a group of people boycotting will be a small blip in the bottom line compared to how much it would hurt the people who actually worked on the film and who are doing it and who are actually putting their all into this film to make it good for the fans and the audiences.
The irony is that this doesn't mean that you cannot tweet about, hey, Walter Hamada, why didn't you apologize to Ray Fisher? Why haven't you retracted this? Why haven't you done that? I encourage that. I reported it, right? So I know why it's important, and that's why we do talk about it, and that's why we do cover it. We cover Ray Fisher's thing, but he's not like a source anymore. He's a friend of the Farooqi Bros, and we know that. We have his back. But at the same time, now, I'm just saying, if you call a spade, there's some fans, and I'm not naming names, I'm just saying there's fans who literally said F Ray Fisher in the middle time where the Snyder Cut was coming out, but he was talking about Toxicity because they felt that because of him, they're not going to make Justice League 2. And they were saying F. Ray Fisher. But right now, those same people are saying Accountability Entertainment. So I know just from that you did not care about Ray Fisher's struggle while you knew that there's a chance for Justice League 2. Then it's like, oh my God, stay away. Do not bother Warner Brothers. We want to see Batman die against Darkseid. We want to see that. And F. Ray Fisher for talking about it and for anything else. But now that there's no Justice League 2, now that Zack is moving on, doing other things with Netflix, guess what? Accountability over entertainment. You know why? Because you're not getting what you wanted. And that kind of situation is where I say, okay, if you're feeling like that, then I know you're just fake, number one. But number two, there's this kind of like divide over like policing the movement. Oh, you are the reason why there's toxicity. No, a person just watching a movie is not the reason why there's toxicity. There's multi-millionaire executives who've been in power for 20 and 30 years, who've been making movies for 20 and 30 years. They are not going to be easy to get out of their seat. And the way to do that is to call them out for their problems. But hey, you think talking to Andy Muschietti and saying that why is there a grandpa Batman in the movie, that's something else. I think Flashman looks like a mess. I think it looks like a mess, right? And I want the movie to be good, but it looks like a mess right now. That has nothing to do with me saying boycott or not boycott it, up to you guys individually. But yeah, this is kind of the stuff that I personally feel like you shouldn't gaslight anyone to doing either thing. So don't gaslight the fan to be like, why are you supporting this movie? Why? Well, some people are just dying to Supergirl on screen for the first time. Some people grew up in the Michael Keaton generation and just want to see him again. It's not always about a slight against Zach or a slight against Ray. It's just about, hey, this is the movie I want to see. Some people aren't invested in the studio interference. Some people aren't, right? That's how it is. And then the flip side, yeah, you shouldn't place someone to see either. No one's coming to your house saying, where's your ticket? Show me the ticket to Flash. You don't want to see the movie, don't see the movie, right? You want to pirate the movie. It's like that's like there's not much to say there. But that's kind of where I stand on it. Samir, where do you agree with us on these points, man? The points that three of us have made.
I mean, you guys have said a lot, and I completely agree with everything you've said, except for the Flash being a mess. I think the studio has put a lot of guidelines out there, but in the end, it's going to be Andy Muschietti's movie, and he's going to. I think boycotting that movie because of Restore the Snyderverse would be unfair to the director, especially after fighting such a long time for Zack Snyder's creative integrity. I think it would be unfair to Andy Muschietti.
Yeah, and I'm just going to go quickly through the comments because we have a lot of people who are kind of giving their thoughts. I mean, some people are just like, hey, like some people are saying that, listen, are they going to erase Ben Affleck's Batman, Henry Superman? And this is a fan concern. Have it. I'm saying have this debate. You want to have a debate that they're making the vision wrong? Yeah, if you think that they're making the vision of these cartoon characters not the way you wanted, that's fine. We do this all the time on our show. That's okay. But I'm saying that when there's bigger issues in the world, always remember that just center yourself, like how angry you're getting about certain things when you know that like there's bigger things going on. That's how I always keep myself centered, because there's no reason to get overly anxious about, oh no, Supergirl symbol is not exactly like the Snyder symbol.
There's also a bigger problem too that kind of comes into the frame, which is that you have to really ask yourself if you would support Ray Fisher's support Ray Fisher if he was anti-Snyder Cut. Like if he was, like, in theory, right? Let's say if Ray Fisher was like not about it, like he was just silent about it, like he just never retweeted anything released Snyder Cut, never did anything like that, right? And then he just came out and said, "Yo, this is what happened. This is what happened to me on set. This is what's going on." I bet you like $1 million that I don't have. But I bet you that money that most of the fan base probably wouldn't care. I think a lot of people actually, the only reason they cared was because Ray Fisher was tweeting about the Snyder Cut and talking about it and he pushed for its release as well, right? And I don't think that a lot of people would have been. And one of the litmus tests that we saw, right, is that when Ray Fisher was tweeting about this stuff when Snyder Cut was coming out, and they were like, "Oh, this is gonna somehow take away from like the trailers that are coming out and the promotional materials," and then obviously the future,
or it's gonna stop the future. Yeah, a lot of people a lot of fans were literally stopping themselves from talking about Ray Fisher because they were freaked out that it would affect Warner Brothers being nice to Justice League 2.
Which shows where the priority lies, because then we cannot say, the claim cannot be made that, oh well, no, we do fight for Ray Fisher for real. No, because you're more like you. It's the dumbest thing I've ever like. In my mind, I don't connect. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, which is that, like, you want to see Justice League 2 and 3 more than see a man get justice for what's been done. And so, ultimately, the more anything that comes now from a moral perspective on like boycotts or any of this stuff, it makes you sound dumb. It makes you sound stupid, and it also makes you sound tone deaf to like the actual world around you. Right?
Yeah, I'd be very interested if I put a poll out there, and it's a put on the poll, Guillermo, is like a little joke that they make on another show. But if we put a poll out there and just be like, hey, what do you prefer as a fan, right? Do you prefer just like 2 and 3 coming out, but Walter Hamada and Emmerich get to keep their jobs forever? Or do you want them out, but then there's no chance for any Justice League? What would you choose? And I have a feeling that these fans, man, they might not be as committed to accountability as they like to preach on quote tweets over anyone saying they're excited for a Supergirl.
And let us be clear. Let us be clear. We would choose the weirdos. We would want them out. Like, let's be very clear, because at the end of the day, the movies would still the movies don't take a hit. These are people that have held their positions for a long time, and they've been just like according to all the. I mean, it's not just the Ray Fisher stuff. The Ray Fisher stuff was like, there's so much more that was added to, like, other people came out and said, like, on their movies as well. Like, Warner Brothers has actually a history beyond just Justice League 2017, right? The studios and then Hollywood in general has a big problem when it comes to like we saw with women as well.
And we know Warner Brothers toxicity is well documented, right? It's well reported and well documented, and we support Ray Fisher pretty obviously if you look at some of our histories, but and that goes without saying. So I think here's what I'm gonna do. So if you want, like everyone has their own individual choice, but here's what I'm gonna be. That's how I look at it, right? For me, I will continue to support Ray, and I'm gonna always keep an eye out for toxicity in any studio. So if there's a studio, if John Boyega is saying that this is how Disney kind of took away what my role is supposed to be, and let's go have a wider discussion about that. I'm down for that discussion. If the Buffy the Vampire Slayer cast is saying that this is how we were treated, then yeah, that's something to talk about. When Ray Fisher says that I was abused on set, right, by Jeff Johns or Joss Whedon, and then those were enabled by Toby Emmerich, and then later accusing Walter Hamada of not wanting the investigation to happen and protecting certain parties, right? That's something that you can pinpoint and go for, right? And that's what I encourage you guys to do, because if you want to keep the noise up, right? For that, you keep the noise up directly by saying, Walter Hamada, like come on, you did like tweet, put your feet to the fire and be like, this is what the fans are asking for. Whatever way you want to do it, you can do it, right? And that includes if you don't want to watch a movie because you feel that slighted by it, then don't watch it. I'm saying don't watch it if you personally feel like you're uncomfortable with it because of the situation. So there are people who earnestly are feeling uncomfortable, and then I agree, then don't watch it. But I'm saying there's a whole lot of people who are very comfortable, but they're just doing it for other reasons.
You're right. And it is, a lot of the times it is very performative. Like you said, you put out a poll, more likely than not, it's going to be people who are saying that, yeah, we don't care if they're still there. The people, the toxic businessmen who don't care about the consumer really, they can still be in charge no matter what abuse they did or held or things they've done that are alleged. As long as we get what we want, give us Snyderverse, give us Justice League 2, Justice League 3, they won't care. They won't, all these calls for accountability will suddenly fade away. They'll disappear because then you get what you want. The real fight is just don't support the Batman because it's not Snyderverse. Don't support the Flash because, yes, you have the Ray Fisher angle, which a lot of these people are holding on to as their scapegoat. But really, then what's the excuse for the Batman? Like, why would you support the Batman? Just because it's a different Batman, people saying, oh, no, it's not Ben Affleck's Batman. You're anti-Snyderverse. You're anti-this because you're supporting a different Batman. It's like the same thing. It's like I said, it's a bad faith argument. And a lot of people, even back then, when the Ray Fisher allegations were in full the investigation was in full swing, people were like, don't say anything. Ray Fisher this, Ray Fisher that, because he's going to stop our chances for getting more Snyder content. It's like you're revealing yourself, and now those same people are hearkening on Ray Fisher's back, trying to use him as a scapegoat to try to boycott these films, try to boycott The Flash, The Batman, Suicide Squad, whatever it may be, because it's just not the Snyderverse, which is unfortunate, but it's just the reality of what's happening. And more likely than not, they'll drop all this accountability over entertainment and on a dime to get their Snyderverse content back, which is sad and unfortunate, but it's clearly true based on what you can just see on Twitter.
Yeah, I think that's just probably a good place to wrap up the conversation. I mean, the audience has been pretty engaged with this topic, and a lot of people are giving their different thoughts. And we actually people who are on different sides of this. Some people are like, "Hey, I'm pirating this movie." Some people are like, "Hey, I'm not watching in theaters. Maybe I'll watch it in streaming or something." Other people are like, "Hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that," and everyone's gonna have their own thought. But I think Fatima makes a good point here about performative activism and putting on a show that I'm so angry that my cartoon characters aren't the way I want them to be. But it's fine. I think that as long as you guys keep yourself centered, and as long as this talk about boycotting and being this moral authority for DC movies, I think tone it down when you see what's happening in other world and other places in the world, including this country. I know a lot of our audience in the United States, so I'm using that as an example. But so if you're gonna be boycotting one thing, please keep the same energy. Literally, that's all I gotta say. You got to keep the same energy.
No one cares. Literally, no one cares. Your account on Twitter is not gonna
Yeah, I'm saying so. So yeah, I'm saying so. Don't if you don't want to watch the movie, don't watch the movie. You don't want to support the movie, don't support the movie. You hate this movie, hate this movie. It doesn't mean anything. It's just everyone's individual choice on what they want to do. I just think personally, there's no point policing people to watch or not watch it. You know, so
yeah, like don't lead a crusade online against other people, harassing them, antagonizing them because they want to watch a film with characters they love. Just because you have reasons you don't want to, whatever they may be. Don't put that on them. And now they're a villain. They're supporting toxicity and workplace abuse because they want to watch a movie with the Flash and Supergirl and
that's the gaslighting. That's the gaslighting I'm talking about because, like these people, I'm saying yesterday when they showed the Supergirl costume reveal, and then when they showed her on set, a lot of fans got excited. There was an influx of excitement from the fandom because of the symbol, because of these kind of things, and people genuinely think Sasha is a good fit for the role. And then I just, as almost like a social experiment, I go through the quote tweets and the comments of these tweets saying, what's going on? And then there's a lot of people shaming you. They're like, how dare you support Supergirl or something? I'm like, I don't know about that. That's not how I personally roll when it comes to this thing. And I know there's accountability needed. Trust me, like I reported very, very hands-on. So I know what the deal is, right? So I think it's just important not to weaponize things. It's important to let people do whatever they want with their money. You know, if you're making money, do what you gotta do. If you want to watch something, watch something. Don't watch something, don't watch something. It doesn't really mean anything, whatever. So we I think pushed this topic as much as we needed to, but we hope you guys enjoyed it. And we definitely want you to sound off in the comments if you have more thoughts on it. I feel like this is something we're going to keep talking about as we get closer to the Flash. It feels like this is something that's going to be coming up more and more. Right?
One final point on Supergirl. The biggest idiots of them all are like, oh no, she has to be white and have blonde hair. Those are the biggest idiots. Those are the biggest trolls. They don't have lives, and like just don't even address them. Don't give them the time of day because they're upset that Supergirl isn't white. She's an alien character. She can be anything, okay? Like, some person made a tweet saying, oh no, this race of Kryptonian is white, and you're like race changing something. I don't know who said that. It was like the dumbest thing. I couldn't believe what I was reading. And it's like, don't it could have been, but don't quote tweet them. Don't give them the attention they're dying for.
I mean, yeah, there was a popular DC writer who once said that Superman's grandfather can't be black, but it's yeah. Well, I think once Zion had a good picture with him, but let's keep moving forward because there's actually multiple anniversaries this week of movies, right? So a lot of movies came out many years ago, but they all had their anniversary this week. Obviously, June is a big week for movies, so it makes sense that hella blockbusters came out during this time. So 16 years ago, Batman Begins released in theaters. So the first, kind of Christopher Nolan, what he did to Batman really was kind of reintroducing him to the world on live action after a big break and after the Schumacher film. So so this is a big thing that happened. And I'm going to keep going before we stop a topic on it, because 8 years ago, Man of Steel released in theaters, kind of reintroducing Superman. So I have a quick question for you guys. What was the better origin movie, Man of Steel or Batman Begins? So who wants to go first on this? Samir, go first. You haven't talked for a little bit. What's the better origin movie for a superhero? Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins or Zack Snyder's Man of Steel?
I have to say it was Man of Steel. I know Zion disagrees completely, but what can I say? Man of Steel was probably my favorite comic book movie, so I'm going with that.
Umar, what about you? Man of Steel, Batman Begins. Where do you fall on this one?
I would say Man of Steel by a hair. They're both pretty much. It's like 1A and 1B. It's not too much of a difference. Yeah, like we're talking about some of the greatest like comic movies ever made, and technically, I would say obviously, Batman Begins is a technically better made movie.
You're saying Batman Begins is a better made movie than Man of Steel?
Yes, technically speaking, just like everything and the way. I mean, it's Christopher Nolan. What do you expect? Like, obviously, it's like LeBron when he was young. But as for Man of Steel, the only reason I choose Man of Steel is I just liked it more. Like, it just comes down to simple. I just liked it more. So I gotta go with Man of Steel.
This is a topic me and Zion have personally argued about for 8 years straight. So, Zion, I already know your answer, but why do you think Batman Begins is better?
Okay, let me just lay out the facts because, Visually,
first of all, I say before you go, everyone in the comments already disagrees with you.
everybody's wrong. Okay, so now, Man of Steel, yeah, the visuals are something else entirely. Even today, there's some of the best visuals to come out of superhero film. The action is spectacular as well. Cinematography is great, but the writing of Batman Begins, the dialogue of Batman Begins, is literally unmatched, and Man of Steel cannot come close, even in its dreams, to what the only good, like I can say, like a good line, good writing is Jor-El's speech when Superman is walking in the ice, is getting ready to do his first flight. Those amazing lines, iconic. But you watch Batman Begins, the writing is just so good. It's spot on. It is perfect for this character. There's no disputing it. There's no disputing it. Man of Steel, yeah, you can think what you think about it, but people dispute that, oh, Superman this, he's acting this way, he killed Zod, dispute. But Batman Begins, you watch it as a Batman fan, universally, there's no complaints. Like, what is there to complain about? It is just the perfect origin. Now, do I think the Batman, I don't know if it's probably not going to be an origin, but Batman Begins as an origin film, the writing is just spot on. Bruce Wayne is perfect. James Gordon is perfect. Everybody, all the characters perfect. You got Scarecrow, he's perfect. Ra's al Ghul, I know people say, yeah, he wasn't casted and the right race, blah, blah. But, back then, did anybody even care about that? Back then it wasn't as, people didn't make a big, didn't address it as much. So you just got to take it for what it was. And I won't now go back saying, oh, back then they should have changed it. I'm taking it for how it was. His performance was amazing and I loved it. And there's not a single complaint. I would say Man of Steel, yeah, it's a great movie. But for me, it gets slow at certain points. That's just for me. It just gets slow. But Batman Begins, there's not a single slow moment. It is just from the start of the movie, the first second, Bruce Wayne's in prison. It's like, this is it. This is the Batman origin you've been dreaming of. It's Batman origin you've always wanted, and it's still been unmatched as an origin film. Man of Steel, yeah, great visuals, great action. The writing is not Batman Begins level, and it just never will be.
The irony is the same writer who wrote both movies, but
he lost touch.
Hey, first, it's time for me to bring some perspective. That bring some context. You're gonna be Max Kellerman. I'm gonna be Stephen A. I'll be telling you that you can't talk superhero movies. So here's the thing, okay? Man of Steel is probably still the most visually beautiful superhero movie of all time. I think it's been 8 years. It's been unmatched. That includes BVS and includes Zack Snyder's Justice League. I think it is visually the greatest superhero movie ever, with the greatest fight scene in superhero movie history. It's never been topped. There's never been a fight scene that's better than Zod versus Superman in the third act. Never. Find me any fight scenes better.
Who are you arguing against? I'm saying
it's
better visuals and best action.
I'm building my case. The score of Man of Steel is way better than Batman Begins. Way better, okay? Much better score. So, score, visuals, action. We need three things that are better, okay? I think Zack Snyder directed Man of Steel better than Christopher Nolan directed Batman Begins, okay? I think Christopher Nolan might have directed Dark Knight better than Zack directed Man of Steel. But I think Begins versus Man of Steel, I think Zack's touch is much stronger on it. And his visual touch is strong. I think Nolan was still developing what his visual language is with Batman. So you can see there's a lot of choppiness where if you look at Dark Knight Rises, and which is Umar's favorite of the trilogy, and The Dark Knight, those two actually have the same visual language. The first movie kind of sits its own kind of movie. What's not, Umar?
Did you say The Dark Knight Rises is my favorite of the trilogy?
Yeah.
You're really on something.
On two, but okay, I think Zod was a better villain than Ra's al Ghul. I think Christian Bale was a much better actor than Henry Cavill. So you won that battle. I think Man of Steel has the best supporting cast in superhero movie history. You cannot touch that supporting cast. Okay.
Oh, this is
you got Russell Crowe as Jor-El, A-list actor. Okay. Jonathan Kent, right? You got both Robin Hoods playing them, right? You got Amy Adams. Okay, you got all the GOATs in one movie playing these supporting cast members. Actually, Henry Cavill's probably the weakest actor in the movie, right? Because the supporting cast is so good. Batman Begins, I think it's really Christian who's leading it. Obviously, Liam Neeson is doing his job, but it's really a Bale performance led throughout. So I think Man of Steel, better supporting cast, better action, better visuals, better score. Writing, yeah, it's a toss-up, but I'll go Man of Steel.
Man of Steel has pacing issues. It's amazing, and then it gets slow, and it's good again, then it gets slow. It's like it's an up and down thing. Like for me, when I was watching, it feels like an up and down thing. Batman Begins is just perfect pacing throughout. Not a single complaint to come out of it. Like for me, not a single complaint. It's just well done, executed perfectly. You know, I don't want to say even Spider-Man 1 is a better origin than Man of Steel, but like I'm almost there too. Like Batman Begins is Spider-Man and then Man of Steel 3rd.
That's
it's just story-wise. It's just more enjoyable.
Now you're just capping.
It's just more enjoyable. Visually,
don't
make
me go too
listen,
far.
I know Man of Steel is just visually something else entirely. Like even compared to 2020 movies, Man of Steel 2013 is still better. But Batman Begins in 2004. Like
the next time,
I can't blame you.
Now that's it. The next time Zion calls me, this is how it's gonna be.
Hello, MJ. What do you want? No, I haven't found out anything. Don't call back.
That's how it's gonna be.
I don't want to listen. I don't want to be this way, but the emotion Tobey Maguire had in this video game cutscene was almost better than any line Henry Cavill performed in Man of Steel.
Oh God.
I don't know, maybe, but Umar, what's the point you're gonna make?
The point I'm gonna make is Michael Shannon's performance as Zod is better than anyone's performance in Batman, including Christian Bale. Done.
I think that's interesting. I think maybe you could be right.
I think the internet lag has got your head, Umar.
You're tripping.
Even our boy Ryan, who's always nice, agrees. He's like, you went too far. You went too far with saying that Spider-Man 1 is better. Okay, if Alex was still here, he would be like, bro, what did you just say? Okay, so
I'll take that back. I'll take that back. Spider-Man was the best Marvel origin movie, but Man of Steel better.
All right, so what was the final? Well, there's a car passing, but what was the final thing that we all decided on this one? So I say Man of Steel. Umar, what about you?
Yeah, Man of Steel.
All right, Samir.
Man of Steel.
All right, John, you lost. All right, so that's all we have to say. And everyone in the comments is Man of Steel also. So you're on a solo train as we have like a card with loud music playing. All right, so
we can't hear it. So
okay, good, perfect. So and there's we have a few minutes left. So 2 more movies made their big reveal. Okay, Toy Story 3 came out 11 years ago, and The Lion King came out 27 years ago. What's the better Disney movie? Samir, we're going back to you on this one. The Lion King, 1994, or Toy Story, 2010? Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with The Lion King. You guys like Toy Story 3 a lot more than I do. I don't know. The villain is just not even that good. You guys overhype him.
What?
I was thinking about his name, but I couldn't remember.
To Samir's defense, he was like 8, 9 years old when Toy Story came out. Like,
yeah, but he wasn't even born when Lion King
came out.
Umar, talk some sense into him.
Umar hasn't even seen The Lion King, so
I have actually.
He just pretends he hasn't.
Yeah,
teach this man something.
Like 2 years ago.
all right, Umar, what's the name of like the baboon who's like the spiritual leader? You know,
Literally, who cares when we're talking about Lotso?
Now you don't know. You literally don't know. You don't know the movie.
All I'm saying is, Lotso had a better performance. Lotso, the bear, okay, is probably one of the greatest villains in cinema history. Forget movies, forget comic movies, cinema history. This man, you want to talk about like the depth of Batman v Superman and Batman's story arc? Like Lotso's story arc, man. Like the guy's traumatized, he's broken, he's depressed, and he doesn't have a Superman to help him. He doesn't have a Superman to inspire him. That's how bad. That's how bad it got. You know,
what did you say? Woody would have been the guy. Woody would have been the Superman to inspire him.
And see, I made this point to Shroud on the chat that Woody's like 1,000,000 times more inspirational than Henry Cavill Superman.
But of course, I agree with that too.
Even he couldn't do it.
I'll say the scene of Lotso where they save him, like this is a Disney trope. They threw a brick at it at the window at the Disney trope. But the Disney trope is when they saved Lotso from the garbage, right? He should have been like, "Oh, they saved me. I'm gonna save them." But when he didn't press the close button on the thing, I was like, "Okay, this movie went to goated status right there because that's good writing." Then you subverse the genre, and that's why Toy Story 3 is goated. But I think I think Lion King is also goated. So I actually think Lion King is the better movie between this and Toy Story 3. But Toy Story 3 is a 5-star movie. Don't get me wrong. But Lion King is like a 10-star movie. Like in a group of 5.
Here's the thing. Lion King, yeah, I agree. They're both amazing movies, but Lion King, from the 4 movies we mentioned, Lion King is the best one. Lion King is better than Batman Begins, Man of Steel, and Toy Story 3, and none of you can argue about this. None of you argue.
I agree.
You know this. And it's Hans Zimmer's best score by far.
Also agree.
The thing about Toy Story 3 is that Bonnie is just a waste suit. Okay, she's the worst character ever written. She's just bad.
No,
okay, I hate
she's
her.
fine.
Every time she's in the movie, I'm like, why am I watching this? Like, it's just not good. But Lion King is just perfect the whole way through. There's no slow moments.
If you guys are in the comments, I want to know what you think is better, Lion King or Toy Story 3. So I'm going to sound off. I do want to say on Lotso, the actor who played him, Ned Betty, or I'm hopefully pronouncing his last name correctly, he actually passed away this week, but he probably gave his best performance of his lifetime with Lotso. So hopefully his family can, use that as like, hey, this is like a good achievement by the man. So Toy Story 3, I think, Umar, unfortunately, just like how Zion was a lone duck for Batman Begins, you are the lone duck here. No one agrees with you. Lion King is better than Toy Story 3. Sorry, Umar.
Okay, let me say something. I think we have a special clip prepared, but yeah, okay, you had your little Man of Steel, but Superman's done now. He's in the past. All the Batman content is here for the future, and I'm the one winning. I'm going to win in the end because I got the Batman movie, I got the Batman show, and you know what you have. You know exactly what you have.
You mean I have this thing?
Exactly.
Don't mess with Superman fans. They don't even like Superman. Okay.
I don't know, but Zion has something for the group, so we're gonna have to play that. He has brought something special to show how the relationship between me and him is because of this show. So without further ado, enjoy this little clip. Let me turn the banner off. Let's get full screen on this one. All right, enjoy.
Something troubling you?
I'm having trouble with your job performance.
All I've ever done is give you what you wanted.
Not anymore, Luthor. Show's over.
Maybe for you. A gift from your adoring public.
They'll never accept you.
Oh, no? I'll tell them how you forced me to enslave them, how I stood between them and your terrible wrath. Then when I toss them your poison green carcass, I'll be more than their leader. I'll be their savior. I'm glad you're all here. You can bear witness that I've been on your side all along.
Save it, Luthor.
How do you think they got here? I had Superman stop by on the way over. They had a nice long talk. Oh!
Y'all are the worst.
Oh my god.
Y'all are actually the worst.
So good.
You didn't put the work in for that. Not gonna lie,
Yeah, I'm saying there's so much more.
the face tracking was really good.
Yeah, Zion, the editing was actually kind of fire.
Let's just hope we didn't get copyrighted for that. Oh yeah, that was classic. Yeah, yeah. Maybe the comments are liking it too, but well, I mean, what can we do except leave on that note? I mean, I got shut down. It's true. I mean, Man of Steel might be better, but unfortunately, with this out, I can never be a Superman fan. Like Samir said, don't mess with Superman fans. We don't even like Superman. So
You got Superman and Lois going for you.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, that orange cinematography really is doing it.
You
It's
did
hitting.
say that it was
On what?
good.
I
You
never
said
heard
the
that. I don't know.
cinematography was so good.
Did I say that? I don't know.
You
It
did.
feels like you're what's it called? Like snaking me out right now. Should I call you Judas Samir right now?
I'm on the Nets back. What can I say?
This is literally you and me right now.
Get out of here! No! Go! We're partners! I said go!
3, 2, 1.
You done did it to me like that, didn't
For
you?
as good as Toy Story is, this Buzz Lightyear movie and animated series is by far one of the worst things to come out of Disney.
That's for another day. I have a million clips. I'm telling you. I got one more, but I don't know when to use it. But I'll use one more. All right, this is one. We're leaving on this note because we went too far. All right, this is like I don't know. We can't begin on context, but this is like when like Zion, Umar, and Samir are like plotting against me. because that's what they do. They always plot against me. But here it is.
By combining our talents, we will rule Gotham City. Anyone we wish to imprison, you, Riddler, will entrap. Any from whom we require allegiance, you, Hatter, will control. And any that stand in our way, I will break.
I've always wanted to team muscle with my mind, and any chance to test my new puzzles, of course.
And you, my friend, are you in?
Tweedledane and Tweedlebrain. If it's all the same, I'll play your game.
Don't think I will pull out the fedora right now.
I hate y'all.
Charles,
Guess what I got here? Guess what I got here?
I don't know what that is. Was that a Nets pack?
Yes, sir.
All right. We're done. All right. So we didn't even talk about like 4 of the topics. We're not going to get to them. Yeah, Loki's fine. So there's all right. So from myself, from Zion, from Umar, and from Samir.
All right, last thing. Loki is better than the first episode. Better than the first episode of WandaVision and the other show, whatever it was.
Whatever it was, it's called
Falcon and Soldier. In fact, they've aged like milk. Thinking back on it, they were so boring.
Oh my! They weren't that bad.
All good.
Loki is fine. Loki's actually there. Whatever they're doing there is keeping me engaged. That's also the best you can do.
They're going all in on the humor.
Yeah. All right. Whatever. 6 minutes overboard. We have to end before it gets too crazy. All right. So
we did start 10 minutes late.
That's true. But
but time is 1:06. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
I don't want to say.
Yeah. So all right. So hope you guys enjoy the discussion. We want to let you know the serious topics and the funny topics, but sound off in the comments because we want to hear your thoughts. The next week we'll continue the debate in whatever form or fashion it exists. So from myself, from Zion, from Umar, and from Samir, we're the Farooqi brothers, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.